Well, hello, my name's Gary Burgess and welcome to Digital Jersey's Digital Design Challenge, sponsored by KPMG. Many weeks ago, people in Jersey were set a pretty specific challenge to combine digital and design and come up with something perhaps extraordinary, perhaps unexpected, perhaps completely new. 2020, I think we can all agree, as a year we will all remember for myriad reasons, and challenges, disruption and complete changes to our lives this year have so much been driven by technology as well. And that really is the inspiration for the Digital Design Challenge, coming from a recognition of the powerful influence of digital design, whether it's intentional or unintentional, as a prize byproduct of a tech project. So it got us wondering, could we lay down a challenge? And today we find out how we got on with that challenge. There were 3 categories in the challenge: visualizing data, sensing and responding to the world, and digital and tech culture. Now, we received an incredible 21 entries, and we've reached today's pitch event where we should be hearing from 13 of the shortlisted finalists. This is effectively a digital version of Dragon's Den, where our finalists will have 5 minutes to make their pitch to the judges, and then around 3 minutes of judges' comments and questions. Obviously, you want to know who the judges are. Well, let me introduce them to you. Tom Dingle is the director of Jersey Arts Trust. He's conceived and produced a range of developmental projects, including the New Plays Project, Creative Arts Programme, and the Artist Lock-In as well. Nicole Woods is a Jersey-born techie, currently the Ecosystems Manager at Barclays Eagle Labs. She's also chairwoman of the local Women in Tech group, set up to help promote greater gender equality across the island's technology sector. Noel Mallett has more than 20 years experience working for design and marketing agencies in Jersey and in London. Since joining C5 Alliance, Noel's focus has been on UX design and consultancy for client websites and apps. And I'm told he's an absolute Lego addict as well, so we may hear more about that. And Arthur Manger is a senior manager at KPMG Channel Islands and leads service delivery in the cyber and digital advisory practice. Arthur is also chair of the Channel Islands Information Security Forum. Now, to begin, a reminder of what is at stake today. Thanks to our generous sponsors, KPMG, we have a top prize of £1,500. Excuse me, wow, it's getting to me. £1,500 in each category, and up to 2 awards of £200 each for highly commended entries in each of the categories as well. And there will be a special award for an inspiring entry which prominently features Jersey. So an opportunity for a number of people to do well today and hopefully inspire many others who are watching this and indeed seeing their entries come to fruition further down the line as well. We'll be hearing about CodeMap, about Seascape, about Project Destiny, about audio visualization of bird songs, possibly digital retro, tech through time, Illuminate.je, Aliengate, augmented reality Jersey, tech tables, music jelly, Curiosity cured the cat, and mystery and imagination. So lots for us to learn. Now, hopefully, our first shortlist finalist is ready to join us. Gatis Valters, are you there with CodeMap? Gatis, are you there? And if you are, have you got mute taken off? No, he is not. We'll give Gatis a few more minutes to join us. The plan of action is 5 minutes for each presentation, a chance to truly explain the inspiration for what they've done, how they brought it to fruition, and possibly even how that prize money will help take that project one step further. And then our judges will have 3 minutes to explore a little bit more about that as well. I can see Gatis is with us now. Gatis, a very good afternoon.
Hello.
To you. It is lovely to see you. We have 5 minutes on the clock. The judges are waiting. Gatis, The floor is yours.
I'm so sorry that I was trying to set up this whole thing. Yes, so the Jersey code map I made around about a week ago, and so I wanted to create an art piece which represents Jersey, and then so I made a Jersey map as it happens, and within the Jersey map, if you closely can have a look at it whenever you see it. Unfortunately, I don't have an image just now with me, as I left it yesterday at the Digital Jersey Hub. But so the inside of the Jersey map consists of HTML code of government.je website page. So there's a lot of little codes consisting of this particular day, as from yesterday, I think it was. And you can, if you look closely, there's a lot of codes. You can see community and COVID-19. So everything that representing this particular day was on the map. And so I liked the way that it looked, and it very much portrayed the Jersey at this time in present. But what I've done also, I created an augmented reality filter usable on Instagram and Facebook, that once you open up the Instagram story and you can change filters, or even if you go onto my profile and look for filters, once you point the Instagram camera onto the picture, the filter captures and recognizes the shape of the image, and then you can see a video as an augmented reality. So through your phone, that you wouldn't be able to look and view organically with your eye. So and the video is of the 75th anniversary of the liberation, actually, of the Channel Islands. So I wanted to create something that kind of represented the opposite. Normally you would see a painting of historical object or a historical event, and then you would transfer that into digital environment, where I wanted to do it the opposite way. So you see a digital environment, physical, and view it as a history. So yes, and I think it's very big potential. If I have more time, I'm not 100% sure. But massive potential. For instance, you would have monuments that you could view your phone, through your phone, view the monument and actually see what the monuments are about, because I would imagine they're slightly outdated. So potential is massive, and you can portray anything in the environment of the phone.
Gatis, I can tell you, you have 2 more minutes if you wish to use them to sell your product even more, but it's entirely your choice.
Oh, well, I could go on for hours.
Perhaps 2 minutes.
Yeah. So yes, I think the potential is amazing, because it could be. So how do you communicate with the newer, younger audiences? Using the social platforms, TikToks, Instagram, etc., by showcasing the information, which is history in the first place. Jersey is an amazing place, and the history is so rich, which I believe a lot of youngsters don't even know. I personally don't even know about a lot of it, but there's tons and tons of really good information out there. So I think an important way how to perhaps communicate with that is through the language they understand, or makes it more interesting. Therefore, the filters and etc., I think, are very interesting and wise choice, to communicate. And by just using your phone to see something that it potentially was not there, it's amazing. Or the steam clock, for instance, that's going to, one day perhaps steam clocks are not going to be there anymore. And so you could wander through the St. Helier, view your phone and see how it used to look like, and in the actual three-dimensional environment. So yeah, I think the potential is really cool.
Gatis, thank you so much. Thank you for painting a vivid picture of your creation as well. I'm certainly imagining it here. Let's go to our judges then. 3 minutes of questions, comments and observations. Noel, let's start with you. What did you make of what you've heard about Gatis's code map?
Well, I was fortunate enough to see it last night and be able to see the AR aspect of it on my phone. So one of the questions, well, I've got a couple of questions. One of the questions I wanted to ask was the actual image of Jersey is, as has been explained, layered up code. How did you get the code out of the website and into the graphics application that you used? Because it's not like 1 or 2 layers here. We're talking, there must be I don't know, tens or hundreds of layers. So was there an automated process you use, a digital process that you used to layer up that that code?
Yeah, so I used Photoshop. So what I've done, actually, the most basic way I could think of at the time was if you go to the Government Jersey webpage, there you can click on your right mouse and inspect a page source. I think that's how it called. And then you see all the codes, and it's freely available. So I screen grabbed the shots, the whole of the page screen grabbed, then brought it back into the Photoshop. And then I taken off the background, and then one by one was putting onto layers. So yes, there was a lot, hundreds of layers on top of each other, some smaller, some bigger, and then the density of the Sanhelier part was even bigger. And so I made it onto 90 by 90 centimeters resolution. You could go bigger, but the computer didn't like it. At some point, the computer didn't like it because there's a lot.
So that was a manual process rather
manual
than
process, all manual, of course.
Okay, that's fair enough. And a second question. There was no proprietary software to get the Instagram working. It simply works. But did you just explain how you get the AR to work with your image? Just outline that for us again.
So there is a Facebook platform where you can create your own filters, basically. And so and normally they are designed to create like a face filter of a little butterfly, perhaps, and so, or having another mask on top of yourself. So it kind of triggers the algorithms already within the software, and it triggers that. But so I had to come up with a solution how to create a video. So that's because that's not essentially made for that. So then I actually downloaded the video, and I had to cut it, and I made it into animation, and then I done the sound individually, and then I had to add it and kind of go and found a loophole where I could kind of tuck in and be like, oh, video is seemingly a lot better. But so it's a software that works within Facebook and Instagram, and then once it's finished, you view it and review it on your phone, and then you send it to Facebook, and then they accept it, and then you can find it within Instagram or Facebook itself using the stories.
So I think that's a really interesting digital angle for this piece, coupled with the design aspect. So thanks very much for explaining that to everyone. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Noel, thank you so much. I think we can just briefly bring in one more judge at this point. So at least we've heard from two judges. Briefly, Nicole, from your perspective, what do you make of what you've seen from our first entry from Gatters?
So I again was able to see it last night, which was brilliant. I really liked how this kind of brought history to the forefront. I think with lots of people going away, used to go away a lot on holiday, I've now turned to actually where can I go and explore in Jersey? So whether it be going to Hookby or to the War Tunnel. So I think this would be great for even lots of other youngsters to be able to see, but also for history and keeping history in the forefront of everybody's minds kind of forever. That's going to be the hardest thing is going forward. How do we not lose those memories? So I really like that. My one question was going to be, how are you going to let people know to be able to pull up their filter when they see something like your code map that you showed us last night? What are you going to do for people to know that that's what they need to do when they're looking at it?
Yeah, so I guess there's a few options. So one would be if I would go bigger and do it on my own or do it for somebody, then I guess a lot of it would consist of the marketing. And so main idea is for them to know and understand where to find it. Youngsters would slightly easier would find how to use the Instagram for older generations. Perhaps there's a few options, whether you leave a little note on a specific piece, whether it's outdoors or inside, saying, look for the Instagram filter here, or perhaps you could have a QR code which directly gets you into the page, and then from then on it's literally just using the filter. So I think it's very I think it's great that you don't need any third-party apps or anything to be able to, as long as you know. But yes, I would imagine so. A few options there.
Wonderful stuff. Nicole, thank you so much. Noel, thank you so much. And Gatters is getting us underway with CodeMap. Thank you so much as well, and wish you all the very best with the challenge. Appreciate your time today. So if you've just joined us, that's the first of our pictures. This is the shortlisted finalists in Digital Jersey's Digital Design Challenge, sponsored by our friends at KPMG, and some pretty impressive prizes up for grabs as well. £1,500 to each top prize category across 3 categories, and also £200 high commended prizes and the Judges Special Award as well. Right, let's move on to our second of the finalists. The project is called Seascape. This is by Emma Nielsen. Emma, hello, are you there?
Hi, I'm actually.
Hello.
Hi, how are you? I'm
Very
actually
good,
going to
thank you.
hand over to my teammates. Hopefully they're on. Just bear with me, a bit of technical difficulties.
No problem at all, no problem at all. As soon as we know we're all there, we will get 5 minutes on the clock and get you started.
Right, they're having some difficulties unmuting. Let me just see.
Can we have the name of your teammates?
Seascape, have they joined?
Just waiting for confirmation of that from our tech team behind the scenes who's dialing everybody in here, and then we can get you underway. We should just now have them joining the room with us, Emma, all things being well.
Good afternoon, we're here.
Good afternoon, Seascape. Well, in that case, if I can ask you to begin by introducing who you are so our judges know, and your 5 minutes on the clock to the judges starts now. Good luck.
Is there a way to share screen at all, or?
You should be able to share your screen, I believe.
Okay, so we're Seascape. Wait, no, we just talk through it. Yeah. We're Seascape. Just close this down. Okay, so good afternoon. We're Seascape. This is Nathan. I'm Jean-Luc, and we're delighted to have been able to make the finalists of the Digital Design Challenge. So the main problem statement that we wanted to address with our problem was global warming and climate change, and in particular, rising sea levels. We really felt there was a disconnect between discussing the impacts of climate change and actually experiencing them on an educational perspective. So that was the main challenge that we wanted to address. We wanted to make these impacts more real.
So just to put into perspective how global warming is affecting the Channel Islands, did you know that sea levels have increased by 1 to 2 millimeters per year between 1993 and 2019? Just to put that into perspective, at the current rate that we're going at the moment, it's predicted that there's an increase of 0.13 meters by 2031, an increase of 0.38 meters by 2061, and 0.9 meters by 2111. Not only this, but there's also a lot of financial implications, including the creation, modification, and restructuring of coastal defences. But then not only this, you've also got an increased risk of your coastal flooding to low-lying areas across the Channel Islands. This includes Guernsey's town seafront and also Jersey's waterfront area. So our solution, we've kind of focused on 3 key areas. We focus on the data analytics side of things. Our plan is to use a data analytics tool called Alteryx to manipulate the data that we gather, which will include sea level rising data and also financial data. This information will come from publicly available websites such as the governments within Channel Islands. We've got visual displays such as a website and heat mapping. And finally, we've got some future improvements, things like videos of the rising sea levels, games, mobile, and also additional technologies such as virtual reality or potentially augmented reality when it becomes a bigger thing.
Yeah. Just want to briefly interrupt you, but don't want to spoil your flow. We're not seeing your presentation. If you were wanting us to be seeing your presentation while you're talking, that'd be super helpful. We're definitely getting the gist, so do not worry about it if you're unable to. You should have the right to share your screen though.
No, so we've got a systems preference thing on our side, so we just keep rolling with it, just talking.
You keep rolling. You're doing great, guys. Back to you.
Brilliant. So Alteryx is really at the heart of our solution. It's all dependent on this, and effectively what Alteryx is it's a analytics process automation tool where we're going to get our inputs, which will all be in different data formats from the various government agencies and publicly available data, and we're going to manipulate that using a standard set of data cleaning, data preparation, and data manipulation steps to get our output of our data in a format that we can then directly feed into the website, and will go into the heat map format that we need to visualize. So the sample up, the idea behind the heat map as the output being this will identify each person in Jersey. You can see exactly where you live, and then the color coding on the heat map will identify how badly you'll be affected by sea level rise over the next 5, 10 years, 100 years, 1,000 years, and so on. The main way we're thinking from a hypothetical perspective on how everything will flow together, our data sources will be downloaded into a database. And this database, whenever it's updated, it will trigger the Alteryx workflow, which will sit on a web server. It will trigger this to refresh the data cleaning standardized steps and processes, to put that data out in the format, which can then go straight upload to the website to make sure that our heat map sitting on a website is in the correct format and can show the most up-to-date data possible.
So our website will be very high level to begin with, showing the Channel Islands, including the heat map, and also having a title explaining what Seascape is and how it works. But then also what we hope to do is be able to expand it later on to become maybe include the UK, other places, and then eventually it could be expanded to become a global aspect.
Absolutely, and I suppose the main way we're trying to our KPIs, our KPIs, even our key performance indicators of success will be, we're trying to raise awareness of rising sea levels by 20%. We're trying to increase engagement for agencies and third parties to collaborate with the government by 20%, and influence government expenditure on renewable energy and minimizing carbon footprint by 20%. So we like the number 20 from that aspect. And then in the future, our main end goal will be to make it more of a live experience with people rather than just looking at a map. We want to implement our data into an augmented reality setting so that people can stand in the high street of Jersey and look down and see in 10 years time, 100 years time, 1,000 years time, where the water will be. Will it be at their ankles? Will it be at their knees? And just understand from a visual perspective what their daily life choice is, using a car to go to work rather than taking a bus, what impact that has on sea level rise in the local communities.
Well, gentlemen, we are at your 5 minutes. Do you have any final wrap up, or are you happy to pause there?
Happy to pause there. That was my last slide. So
that is perfect timing on your part. If you can send through your presentation afterwards, the judges will then take that into account in the process. So do not worry at this stage. Let me start with Tom on this one. Tom, the idea of me being able to immerse myself in the middle of seeing a climate change future is a fascinating project.
It absolutely is fascinating. It's relevant. And I think this notion of seeing is believing is absolutely critical to this. So I think the notion of what you're discussing and the principle of it is brilliant. I guess because this is effectively a lobbying and an awareness tool, a lot of it isn't how you roll it out and how you reach people and how you get people to come to your fantastic website. I'm hoping also within your presentation we get a little bit of a sense of the visuals that you're working with, because it'd be lovely to see those. So I suppose my question would be, how are you going to, what's the kind of media campaign, or how do you get this into people's, how are we all going to find out about this and come onto your fantastic website and experience these visuals and bring it home to us?
Yeah, that's a really good question. We, in our presentation that was sent through, we do have a wireframe of the website, so you can get an idea of the visual that we're working with. But I think the main way will be we'll try and get ourselves to go into schools. I think would be a good idea.
Yeah.
Do presentations to explore idea, but equally reaching an ever more digital audience. We could look at things such as doing an Instagram campaign, because we could do a pop-up video ad. If people are going through people's Instagram stories, it could pop up and it can just display the actual changing heat map, and you can do a visual, maybe a little 30-second clip showing it over time as well. So you could definitely play that.
Yeah. I also think that another thing that we could potentially do later on, or further down the line, is to take it from not just being a website, but then also having maybe a mobile application. And with that, what you're able to do then is incorporate other things, like you could always track potentially the estimated amount of carbon emissions that you're reducing during maybe your travel to work or so on, and things like aspects like that, which would also increase by the likes of word of mouth. Like once one person uses it, they could always say, oh, maybe this is a good product, and then they'll recommend it to other people and so on. So that's another route to go down rather than actually marketing it on a digital source.
And let me bring Arthur in at this point as well. Arthur, our second pitch here has already got my mind whirring. What about yourself? Any observations or questions at this point?
Yeah, well done, Seascape. I think, like Tom alluded to earlier, this is quite topical, and I think you would get good traction. So well done on that. My single question is on the data sources that you are using. Can you please run us through there, where you're getting this data exactly, and how comfortable are you with the accuracy of this with this data from these sources?
It's a good question. We've got a variety of data sources going into it. Some of them will be a little bit manual. So for example, we're going to review various environmental reports to gain sort of an average price for a fixed price of a meter of seawall, a square meter of seawall. So that will go into the financial elements of the Alteryx model. In terms of the actual rising sea levels, we regularly review sources like the United Nations and also the Department of Environmental Protection in Jersey to see sort of how they're seeing the future look like.
We will also include public data sources and reports, including the State of Guernsey and the Government of Jersey, which also outline some of the financial aspects, but then also some of the historical increases that have happened over the years.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you, judges, and thank you, the pair of you and Emma as well. Seascape, all the very best with all that follows. And thank you so much for joining us here today as well. I hope that went all right for you.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thank you both. Well done. Right. 2 projects down, many more to come. Next up is Project Destiny. This is Rebecca Hardy-Bishop, and hopefully, Rebecca, you are there for us now. Are you there, Rebecca?
Hi. Yeah.
Hello, Rebecca. There is 5 minutes on the clock, but you do not have to use all that time. So tell us as much as you wish. We're all ready to learn all about Project Destiny. The floor is yours.
Okay. Project Destiny is about making art, digital culture places for everyone. So everyone can visit it whenever they want, later on, once the project's been taken away. Because, for example, I think you've got, the judges have seen the tour, which I provided in the links. And in that tour, I've shown the COVID-19 project portraits, which were done showing what happened during the pandemic. And with that, it's good to show that people can see it later on. So by having a 360 tour of it and any digital cultures, it means that people who are shielding, who may not be able to visit the installation in person, can go and visit it, especially in the pandemic, which is around now. And also people are still being able to enjoy the installation in future, and by having a digital archive through these 360 tours and mapping, people can visit the installation anytime they want. So if it's moved on, for example, to another area, and it also means schools and education can be taken into, can go and see these places where at the moment with social distancing they can't. Also with sorry, my internet went out. Also with having a digital archive, it means the art and culture industry can be spread further and art can be seen for anyone. Later on, when the display's been taken down, if it's moved on to different areas, people can see it. So for example, there's also reasons for, if people, for accessibility reasons. So with the one I've taken, where the portrait was, it was on cobbles, and some wheelchairs might not be able to get onto the cobbled areas, or it might be too difficult for people to go and visit. And also coming back to schools, with schools, they cannot sometimes go and visit these places because it's too costly or it's too difficult to reach. So it makes it more so people can see it later on. So if in 50 years time, people are talking about the pandemic in history, like they did with the Spanish flu, they can go and visit this portrait of these pictures, and the teachers can take their students round the different portraits and explain it, and the students can see it in real life. And by having an archive, not just of this, but of any digital art display or culture, means it's there for generations. So for example, with this one that's on the screen now, with Hampton, it means that people can go and see this whenever they want to. So if it's not necessarily now, because people at the time, so at the moment Hampton's closed, people can go and see this now or in the future when maybe they won't be able to. And it also can help with tourism, so people can look at this for planning to come over and visit. And it's also by having a record of this, it means if anything happens, which we quite sad because quite like Hampton, if anything happened, it would mean that it'd be there for future generations.
Rebecca, thank you so much. Absolutely fascinating knowing that I could effectively go back in time and see things that aren't there perhaps in the future. One of many possible applications for this project. Tom, let's get you to start the judges' comments and questions if you have any. I imagine, Tom, this is the sort of thing that certainly floats your boat.
Absolutely. So one of the biggest focuses for Art House Jersey that we've had over this pandemic has been, how do we reach people who can't get out, and particularly those who are most vulnerable to the COVID virus, so particularly elderly people. So how do we bring works of art, and how do we bring the community to them? And I think that this is precisely the sort of innovation that is required. I guess with that in mind, and we talk with your, I think that you displayed the technology really beautifully, and there's some really great examples there. But what about the packaging around it, in terms of how do we make it accessible for the elderly, the people perhaps who are stuck at home whereby we can't reach them as easily? And how, and equally you talked about within schools, how do we make this experience, and how do you package it in a way that's going to get to people who perhaps will need it most?
Thank you for your question. With this, Google is quite amazing, and I've produced a piece of software where a teacher or a caregiver can have the tour on a device, and there can be people with VR headsets on, or just holding on a different iPad, and where they're looking, it will show them on the carer's or teacher's device, so they can then talk the person through where they're going. And it's really accessible. You can just take a photo of a QR code, and you can do it on phone, mobile, you can even AirPlay to TVs. So then that means you can take it into like care homes, for example. I actually took this to show my gran the other day. She's currently stuck in a care home and she doesn't really like to do much. She can't do much. And I showed it for her for 5 minutes. And apparently the whole of the next day, that's all she was talking about was these portraits and wanting to know more about it. And so much so I'm having to go back tomorrow with it to talk to her more about it.
I love that you're already user testing this and building up testimonials and demand, Rebecca. Noel, let me just bring you in on this one as well. Your thoughts at this stage.
I guess my question was around the technology. You've kind of answered it a little bit when you responded to Tom, but how do you go from your photos to the AR or the VR experience? I mean, I don't have an Oculus headset or anything like that, and I was looking at your stuff on a phone. How much technology do you have to go through to get it from the photos and then into, you know, the finished package? And you know, how much better would it be with a headset on, for example?
Well, I've sort of designed the tours, so because some people cannot use headsets or medically they can't use them, so it can be on a screen. Having on a headset will give you more of an immersive experience, which is ultimately a better experience, but I've done it so even if you're not on a headset, you don't lose too much of the value. So you can still imagine you're there. You've just got to use your imagination sometimes a bit more. But the way the process works, it goes from me looking at the area to planning to mapping it, and then planning where to take the photos on the camera. And then it goes on to a piece of software. So either Tour Creator or there's EasyPano, which creates the software, and then it's uploaded via URL link to a website or to Twitter. You can even put them on YouTube, so it can go really anywhere.
So I guess it's in fact a process you could teach.
Yes, it's quite
it's
easy to use, and all the software I use is free and accessible. So it means you can access the code. So quite often, especially with EasyPano, people are adding to the software all the time and making changes to make it better.
Okay, thanks very much. Thank you.
No, thank you. Judges, thank you. And most of all, Rebecca, thank you so much with Project Destiny, and good luck with the next stage of the Digital Design Challenge as well. Really appreciate your time today. So there we are, 3 pitches down, many more to come. Next up is a project called Audio Visualization of Bird Songs by David Adams. I think we can guess what that's going to be, but let's get confirmation of that. David, are you with us today? Perhaps I need to do an audio visualization of David himself. So we're waiting for David to appear. He's on his way in, I do believe. David, if you're there, please unmute and then we can hear you and then we can get your presentation. Hello, that's wonderful. That is my favourite sound other than bird songs so far today. Right, we have 5 minutes on the clock for you now for your pitch, and then we will follow it up with 3 minutes of judges' comments and questions. So, David Adams, 5 minutes starts now. The floor is yours.
Hi. So it's called Audio Visualization Journal. My internet has just gone. So basically, during the skies were clear. There were no airplanes, hardly any sirens, and out of nowhere, the sound of birds just filling my garden. And so I started to make a recording of one of them, and then I decided to see what it'd be like to visualize it and then overlap the multiple birds that you need, or a bird. You don't actually see where it is. All bird different places, and they all become one soundscape. So I was trying to create a visualization of how to work together. Now, the idea really was to create an interactive art piece where people could be immersed in these digital forms of birdsong. Now, I then asked my mum, and whilst I was in lockdown, I started re-recording Jersey bird songs. And once my 5 days was up, I started going to different places in the island and recording the birds and categorizing and time-stamping these birds in different locations around the island that I could find. So I haven't managed to capture every bird, but I've managed to capture the ones that and overlap them, and I've created a share as an installation. So either a single screen or a multiple screen, and I mean, really, the idea is for people to reconnect with nature now that we've had a pandemic where the world slowed down, and people have been able to get out and to really appreciate the things that we got around us. It's a way of really reading with the true audio soundscape that we have, which we do forget, drowned out by day-to-day life and the noise of traffic and the noise of airplanes. And now it's a way of reconnecting and focusing back on nature again, and understanding how precious and important nature actually is to us. And I mean, I have ideas of how I'd like to push this forwards. I'd like to approach Jersey Zoo and actually catalogue the birds that have been observed and be looked after at Jersey Zoo. And it would be a way of then promoting not only the island and the zoo, but also the conservation that's going on. And yeah, like I said, it's a visualization of our natural world around us, and I just like to be able to show it in an interactive way, where it could be an auction. I mean, it could even just be digital stands within either Jersey Zoo or in any kind of public space. But it's just something that can then make you focus really back on what is around us, and just can stop and listen and see what is actual. Well, okay, that's it really.
Wonderful. David, thank you so much for your explanation and pitch for audio visualization of bird songs. There were a few crackles on the line, but I think we've certainly more than got the gist of what you were saying. But I suspect the judges will use this to drill down on a bit of detail with their questions and comments, which we'll do. Arthur, can I begin with you on this one? I certainly recognise what David was saying. During lockdown, even in the middle of town where I live, I suddenly noticed the bird song, and it was frankly beautiful.
Yeah, you're right, Gary. So I was fortunate enough to see David's piece yesterday and the day before when we were doing the pre-judges, and I must say it's an absolutely fantastic piece of work, and well done for that, David. The moment I looked at it, my mood immediately changed. Right, it was that inspiring to me. It was really a wonderful piece of work. So my question is along the lines of, you touched on reconnecting with nature, especially during difficult times like we are, things we take for granted or we forget we have around us, right? My question is around how are we pushing it out there? I know maybe from your side of point of view, it's more of an appreciation of the art. From you, it's something you're doing passionately. But from the experience I had, looking at your piece, it's something which is too good not to share or to make it reach out to the community, and more than that. So you touched on about physical displays, which is maybe at events. But what I wanted to know from you is, have you thought of how you can push this further so that a lot of people can have access to this piece of work you're doing?
David, are you there?
Hello. Yeah, about how to bring it to a wider. And I mean, like I said, having displayed in public areas, maybe on multiple screens, so you're not in one position, you're focusing in, it's all around you, so you could have maybe 3 or 4 looping different bird songs as you basically into this world of digital, and And like I said, I also thought it's a very nice way to just it's just there to be able to give people that idea just to stop and listen. So to be, like I said, to have it in a public space. I mean, I've seen them before, and my nephew absolutely loved them. To get right in front of it, and the lights project onto you, and it becomes a really enjoyable little display. And hopefully it will help, like I said, to reconnect with you, which is the most important thing. I mean, I'm very passionate about, and I'm very worried about the state mankind is, you know, how we're destroying it so fast. So, you know, to just listen and look again, maybe we'll make them act and be more careful about how they actually treat the world that we live in. So.
Nicole, if I could perhaps bring you in at this point, perhaps more of a comment rather than a question for David, just because the line is cracking up so much. But Nicole, from your perspective, your take on this project.
Yeah, I luckily saw this yesterday. To be fair, it took me aback, I think, when I watched it in the pre-judging. I've just never really looked at birds before, nor never really looked at just nature in itself without everything else that goes around. So it was really nice to see that, and even more so when you watch it, if you get a chance, everyone, the colours. So being able to see actually what birds are making what noise, which was more interesting than anything else, because I didn't even know that we had that many birds in Jersey, so that was really nice.
Wonderful stuff. Well, listen, David, thank you so much. Appreciate your pitch, and I look forward to relaxing and bathing inside your visualization of bird song soon. So all the very best with the next stage of this project, and thank you for joining us today. If you just joined us, this is the Digital Design Challenge with Digital Jersey, supported by KPMG, and we are working our way through our 13 shortlisted finalists. Each has 5 minutes to make their pitch, or certainly up to 5 minutes, and then 3 minutes of judges' questions and comments. So next up is something called Digital Retro. If I can get my teeth around that, I'll say it one more time. Digital Retro. Jacqueline Woodcock. Jackie, are you there? And are you off mute?
I think I am.
Hey, wonderful. I can see you. I love it. Wonderful. Jackie, there's 5 minutes on the clock for you to make your presentation, and then we'll follow it with questions and comments. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I was taking print, actually, going back into the 50s, and how advertising and digital printing has changed. So a bit of tongue in cheek. Obviously, we've come from hot metal through to screen print, now to digital printing. And so I did a bit of fun graphics and also our advertising. So to local companies, I decided how we would advertise our digital in the 50s if we had it then. So a bit of Tony Roboto there. So he's advertising the Think Digital, Think Jersey, and obviously he's a robot. And then we've got JT, so a bit of fun there. JT advertising their mobile phone. Obviously, we didn't have the phones around then. But again, our technician on call is a lady. And as girls are now able to do all of these wonderful things. And then here we have, obviously, Jersey Electricity with our petrol guzzlers in the 50s. Now the electric green electricity of Jersey Electricity. So a little bit of great fun, but also printed onto metal. And of course, we started with metal, and nowadays we can digitally print onto metal. So that was the way I sort of saw the whole process of going digital, much quicker, much easier, less hassle, and great fun. You can print onto anything nowadays, and we can all do it. So that was the idea of doing that, because the lady when I looked at the digital jersey and saw some of what the lady did with the Instagram, she was showing what Picasso would have looked like if they were around today with the Instagram. And I wanted to do it in reverse to show what our digital agencies would have looked like then in the 50s. So yeah, just great fun, good artwork.
Jackie, thank you so much. Absolutely fascinating. I think the thing that surprised me is they look almost picture postcard size behind you, and you bring them to the camera, and they're clearly very serious pieces of art. Very, very impressed. Right, let's go to our judges. 3 minutes of judging time. Noel, perhaps if we can start with you on this one. I know behind you, just like Jackie's got art behind her, you've got your Lego behind you. So you proudly show off your art and creativity as well. Your questions and comments to Jackie now.
Okay, so a comment to start with. I got the chance to, obviously we were shared the images digitally. When you see the prints, it takes it to a whole new level. And I think to appreciate what Jackie's done there, you've really got to see the prints, because they're superb quality. And like you say, you've printed it onto metal. And it's got that kind of quality. If you go and see an art exhibition, it's different to seeing it digitally, and that's I know for the other judges, if you didn't get a chance to see them last night, are you keeping them at Digital Jersey? Can we go back?
No problem, happy to bring them back. Yep.
Okay, and just briefly, what software did you use? What app did you use to create the visuals? I'm just interested because I use Photoshop and Illustrator every day. So how did you do it?
I did the same. I taught Photoshop, so I love Photoshop. Very second nature to me, and Illustrator. But I also tried to bring in using stock, because that was the whole idea, is what we've got available now that we wouldn't have had. So I'll use a bit of stock photography, a bit of stock art as well, and then just put them all together with our local agencies, our local companies, to show the digital side of Jersey, but in a very fun way.
Thank you.
Arthur, let's just bring you back in on this one. It's, I mean, it just makes me smile looking at this work from Jackie.
Yeah, it is. It's a great piece of work. Again, it's quite fascinating. I also was lucky to have a first-hand experience with the prints. So my only question here is, how are you, Jackie, looking to reach out to, so I'm thinking from a commercial point of view here, right? How are you planning to convince whether the agencies you reach out to, the companies that you reach out to them, that your pieces of art would actually capture the audience that they are targeting, as well as businesses? Because I'm looking at this, I know you've married the two different generations, 1950s to the modern world. From the younger generation, they would probably find it hard to make that link because they don't have experience to the old ways of how things were done. So my question is, how are you thinking, or what's your thought process to actually bridge that gap, or to conquer that barrier, if you know what I mean, to reach out to that audience who may be the target for the businesses that you would be working with for this?
Okay, well, I think retro art is all coming back anyway, so it's a bit of fun. I think a lot of people are sourcing retro art, especially, I mean, one of my clients in South Africa was Coca-Cola, and we did a lot of fun stuff with the Coca-Cola graphics and retro. You know, it's all it's great. And I think because it's coming back and because people are interested, you know, even they're looking back at old technology. I mean, my first Mac computer was an SE30. You know, they're collectibles now and people are sourcing them. So they are being recognized. And, you know, it's just a fun way of advertising and showing the past with the present. And showing also, I mean, I spoke to quite a few younger people at the Digital Jersey presentation last night, and they loved them, and they put them on their walls. which is, you know, that's the idea, is to have something fun that I can create and you can display, and you can also use it as an advertising tool for your shop, for your business. But you could print that onto a t-shirt, you know, or a cap or a hat. And it's a great way for other companies just to advertise their business in a fun way that people might use and have on their shirts and even on their shoes, wherever they go these days. So I hope that answers it.
Yeah, it does. Thank you very much, Jackie, and good luck.
Thank you.
Wonderful, Jackie. Thank you so much. And do you know what? With everything else going on this year, it's just lovely to hear the word fun. Don't we just need some fun in our lives?
Absolutely.
Jackie,
Yeah,
thank you so much. Really, really enjoyed that. Jackie Woodcock there with Digital Retro. Judges, thank you. I think we're staying nicely on time as well. Let's move on to our next shortlisted finalist on the Digital Design Challenge. This is called Tech Through Time by Dale Malloy. Dale, are you there? And are you off mute? That's my new standard follow-up question in this world. Let's try that one more time. I can't hear.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, Dale, I can. Yes,
Perfect.
I can't hear you, but I can hear you.
All right, let me start video. All right, you should be able to see me now.
Yeah, I can.
Perfect. Awesome.
Headset that works. Great.
Yeah.
Dale, just so you're aware, in case you weren't already, we'll have 5 minutes for your pitch, and then we'll follow that up with around 3 minutes or so of judges' questions and comments. So, Dale, it's all yours.
Perfect. So yeah, a little bit of background about myself. Yeah, I'm a design and animation freelancer, and I go under the name of Studio D3. And recently I've been getting into it, but I've been doing animation for a couple of years now. And basically, if I just do this, I'll play this in the background. Let's get rid of downloading Zoom. So I've worked on like a variety of things of 3D animation, 2D animation, commercials for TV, and then recently creating like cartoon shows, but just doing a whole range of stuff. And I've been doing it professionally for like 6 years. And generally, I just love creating stuff. I love to, that's an old website as well, by the way. But yeah, I love creating stuff. It's always been a passion. And I see others that do it, and I want to kind of to contribute myself and kind of really play my part. So the project I created for this competition was mainly to do with technology through time. So that's why I called it Tech Through Time. And it's basically a project where it basically shows the start and the end of our timeline with digital and with media. So I'll play this in the background whilst I talk about it, but I mainly wanted to create something where it was using traditional frame by frame animation that they used to use, and basically showcase from start to end, from the pinhole camera to the first movie ever made and the first ever phone call to Mars, phone call to the moon, sorry. And yeah, just celebrating like all these, like how we've gone from one place to another. And it's just a friendly like reminder for people like, hey, like technology has advanced so much in such a little time. And it's just a way of, along with teaching, but kind of like a blast from the past, and saying, hey, this is where we've got to, like, this is what, like, imagine what we could be like in the future. And yeah, like I wanted to keep the whole theme of everything very positive, and just, I'm just gonna push play again, why not? I had a short deadline for this. I wanted to do this as quick as possible, and I wanted it to be as best as possible. So it was head down and just go. I would love to expand this concept of showcasing all the technology through time. And by doing so, I would like to do, say, for example, a version of this where it's just mobile phones, where it's just TVs, like from, I don't know, the old box TVs to the flat screens and smart TVs we have now. And yeah, like, I just believe that this project could be posted on social media, but also could be in installations, just gathered around. And I think I want to use it as like a learning tool, but also like just a general overview for people to just appreciate. But yeah, if you wanted to go check out the video, you can actually, I dropped the link up there, and I've also put my website if you wanted to see my other stuff. But yeah, generally, it's not showing, it's fine. Yeah, generally I just enjoy creating. I seen this project and I was like, all right, this is my time to just create. And yeah, it was a great little prompt, and yeah, it was a really fun project. I missed a few things, but yeah, with my cartoons, sorry, this is going back to my background, but with my cartoons that I've been starting recently, I've set that up as a sub-brand under D3 Animations. And yeah, with that brand, I stream, I teach down at a local college, like animation and stuff. I just like to create and do more and always be busy. Like, yeah, but yeah, that's pretty much the project.
Dale, thank you for sharing your project with us. I also love the subliminal advertising on the edge of frame. We always appreciate when we see one. Thank you so much. Let's go to the judges and get some thoughts, some questions, some feedback. Nicole, perhaps I can start with you this time. Tech through time. What's your take?
It's really interesting. I think even from the first frame, you've got your noughts and your ones, which kind of was right at the very beginning of computing. But it'd be really interesting. What's your thoughts on continuing to expand for those who probably don't understand the technology through time and understand some of the stuff that you were showcasing within your videos, whether it's a walkthrough of actually what some of those things were for students? So what's your kind of further expanding, kind of teaching that knowledge to other people who probably haven't seen it before, like the youngsters that are just known to have an iPhone from the age of 4, they haven't seen anything else?
Okay, well, I think I personally would like to keep it very visual. I was debating to put with the animation like actual dates and timelines in there so people can see it personally. But I think for me personally, I'd rather not focus on the kit and the technology used, but well, to some extent doing that, but showing the visual change from how these things went. Like, so a kid who is just been like brought up with iPhones and stuff, they'll be shown this like old box phone that you need 2 hands to hold it, and yeah, it would just be kind of like eye-opening, and that's what I want this to be, is like eye-opening to kind of realize, hey, like this big ass phone is now shrunk. And yeah, I would like to focus on that side of things more than anything. So hopefully that answers your question. Yeah. Thanks.
Wonderful stuff. Tom, can I bring you in on this one as someone who is very interested in the visuals? Did this pique your attention?
Yeah, it absolutely did. I suppose I was curious as to, I mean, congratulations on all the visuals and everything incidentally, but I was curious as to what you would be using if you were awarded with the prize money. How would that be utilized to develop this further?
So for me, I've recently just gone freelance, and so I've been like just working with that. I love, whenever I get a chance, I love to create cartoons and stuff for people to enjoy. So whenever I have a budget behind me, that's where I would use that money. So like I've created a couple of cartoon shorts on YouTube. So that's where the money would go. This money would support me financially so I could potentially make more cartoons and stuff. But also it could go, if this was to expand this project, then it could go towards that, basically funding me to help with that as well. It basically just be funding to kind of, so that I'm able to create what I can create, because everything you need budget behind you just to be able to create this stuff, because it does take time. So I love doing what I'm doing, but it's the same with anything. You need money behind you to do it. And hopefully that answers your question. Thank you.
Thanks. I think that was a very polite way of saying, if you give me money, you get more cool animations. That's Dale, listen, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time. I think we're all slightly envious of your tech setup there as well. Looks highly professional.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time, and good luck with the next stage of this process as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, there we are. That is Tech Through Time by Dale Molloy. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more shortlisted finalists to come. Absolutely fascinating. If you've just switched on or you've arrived in the middle of this video somehow, this is the Digital Design Challenge from Digital Jersey, sponsored by KPMG, and we are looking at our shortlisted finalists. Now, next up is Illuminate.je by Sebastian Lawson, who I hope is going to light up our screen right now. Sebastian, are you there?
I am indeed. Can you hear me?
I can hear you and see you, and that is the holy grail in this process. So thank you for achieving that. Sebastian, we've got 5 minutes on the clock for your pitch, and then around 3 minutes afterwards for judges' questions and comments. So it is all yours.
Great. Hopefully you can all see my screen now with just a brief presentation. So you're probably all wondering what Illuminate.je actually is and what it actually means. So fundamentally, it's actually taking STEM education and creating a project that's really different to historic STEM education projects that you might have seen. Fundamentally, we are actually going around at the moment. It's very much a project that's in its infancy, but we're going around at the moment and gathering up to 20 students aged 10 to 18 across the island to take part in a annual project, and that annual project is funded by sponsors from across the island, as well as others who might well like to donate. And what we're really doing with this is actually creating a real world project for them to get real world experience. So this is going to be everything from designing from the very outset right through to sort of showcasing that project at a major event each year. So the first year that we're doing this, we're actually doing a drone light show, and I'll move on to that in just a second. But what I wanted to start out by saying is kind of highlighting why I'm behind this project and why I really believe that this can be quite powerful for Jersey. So fundamentally, when you look at the statistics of A-level entries for STEM education subjects on Jersey compared to in the UK, you have, all of the core subjects. Actually, Jersey is percentage points lower in terms of entries. And STEM education, as you will all know, really plays a major part in not only, the sort of development of the generations that are coming after us, but also the digital sector as we know it today. And so what I really wanted to do was come up with a project that actually enabled those students to really see something from start to finish and have real world experience they can talk about taking something right from its infancy through to showcasing it in front of a live audience and also online. So as I said before, we're doing a drone light show for this very first year. And that actually is going to involve everything from designing the drones. As you can see in the middle, that's a kind of home-built design. So we'll be building a drone like that. We're building actually 100 of them, and then we'll be programming them with an LED on the drone to actually then showcase basically what's capable using technology and what's possible, using technology. And so fundamentally, you're probably wondering, what could this actually look like at the end of the day? And so there are examples of this around. Intel actually started this about 5, 6 years ago, but there are now other companies like Firefly in the US, and this is what it can really look like. It's really visually impacting the night sky, and you can do everything from just 3D animations like that right through to to logos and images, and really involve the audience and also embed sound and everything else behind it as well. So when you actually look at this, you might be wondering, well, how are you going to achieve that? Fundamentally, there are animation programs out there like Blender that are free, and we're using animation software like this to be able to actually take the technology forwards. We'll be developing the drones. We'll be working with the students who know who are passionate about technology in a number of cases, but they don't fundamentally get taught in real life scenarios like this. And then we'll be, working with them through some of the regulatory aspects that they might have to, the hurdles they might have to overcome, before then actually being able to showcase it live at an event next year. So as I said, that the core impact that we're having for children across the island is actually giving them real education in hardware design and build, software programming. Then we've also got other sectors like 3D animation, choreography of all of that. Then we've got sound and video because we'll be filming it, and obviously we have the sound embedded with the show. And then fundamentally also for those passionate about aviation and anyone involved in it, anyone looking to be involved in event management, there's those additional elements that come into this year's project. As we kind of grow Illuminate.je as a project and as a whole, we're actually going to be doing a new project every year, and there's already ideas coming from those in the team here at Illuminate.je about what that can really look like. So, we're thinking next year doing a ground, or in 21 it's going to be the drone show, 22 looking at doing ground robotics and creating a map of a swarm of ground robotics to do similar sort of impactful, art, etc. for the students to showcase. And so at the moment, what we've been doing with this specific first year project is actually, finding out exactly what software elements are possible. So if I just play this, this is actually a brief map that was outlined using a program or using a language called Scratch, which is widely known across, technology education, as Rory will well know. And fundamentally, what I've done here with the very first drone is created an outline of a map of Jersey, which we'll then be using, to basically as the basic program for the very first image they'll be programming, and then we'll use that to really, develop out what's possible. And obviously, for example, with the sponsors that might well be involved in the project, they can have their imagery or whatever imagery they would like, involved in that programming as well, so that they're all involved in the showcase at the end of the day. So that's kind of a summary of what Illuminate.je is. And yeah, I'd love to hear any questions you might have from the judges.
Sebastian, thank you so much. I last year saw a drone light show and it utterly blew my mind. The idea that you could then do a Jersey map and maybe a KPMG logo is an absolutely fascinating idea. Let's get to the judges. Tom, let's just start off with you on this one. Your reaction to what you've seen and your questions and comments, please.
First of all, Seb, congratulations. This is a really innovative and interesting project. I think that this notion of using different forms of technology to engage young people is excellent. I suppose what I'm aware of is that if your aim is to get them more interested in STEM as the point of it, it's different types of learners. So there would be all sorts of students who don't excel academically, but it doesn't mean that they couldn't and aren't. It's just a different way of making them, of accessing the topics and the subject areas and things. So I suppose I have two questions. One of them is, how are you currently selecting the participants, particularly within this pilot? And the second question I have is what's your plan to expand to more students? Because at the moment I understand within a pilot to keep it small within 20 and to evaluate, and then how do you roll it out to a broader cross section of students in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of how we actually expand it out, I'll start with that one. We basically plan in the first year to showcase this and really show what's possible with technology and with this project, and kind of encourage the students to, look at not only, within the core subjects, what they could study and understand, but also look at the sector as a whole from a much earlier age than they might do naturally, and actually understand what's possible within digital and within technology and STEM. Because I know, particularly across the island, it is definitely something that is growing, and Digital Jersey have been, really quite impactful with that. But certainly what we're looking to do in year 2 would be, take the experience of the first year and actually probably do one larger project with more students. And hopefully by being able to see what's possible in the first year, there would be more students interested in kind of, the experience they had and how they can be involved in that. But then looking to future years, we might well be expanding that out. So obviously we're going to have the IP is going to be based in Jersey for this. They're creating it. It's going to be owned by the children. But then when we go, year 3, 4, 5, we might be looking to expand that out to other areas. Looking at maybe Guernsey, other jurisdictions like that, Isle of Man, and then maybe even over to the UK and start to really expand out what's possible. But obviously keeping the core and the hub of it from Jersey, so that Jersey really gets shown on an international stage.
Wonderful. Thank you for that, Tom. Thank you for that. Arthur, if I can bring you in here, just some final thoughts and any question you may have for Sebastian.
Yeah, thanks, Gary. Sebastian, yeah, great piece of work and good presentation. So well done there. It's a super fascinating project you have going. I like the fact that you are combining education with fun. I'm passionate about educating the next generations of technology professionals. So my question is, how are you going to sustain this? How are you commercializing this?
Yeah, so certainly, for the first few years, we see this being a group of volunteers. There's a group of us behind it at the moment. I will be volunteering my time towards it in evenings, at weekends, to be able to push the project forwards. And obviously, in terms of fundamentally getting, it's not going to be an easy exercise to raise the funds required to get such a large-scale project with 100 drones and all of the software behind it. But what we're going to be doing is getting a variety of sponsors across the island who will get a package as part of being a member of Illuminate.je. And then as we expand that out, we would look to commercialize, being able to actually commercialize doing light shows. So the children will be able to program light shows. For example, with this technology, they'll be able to program light shows, and then they can actually be involved and start to gain more experience of being part of a company and actually understanding more about that. So they get, again, that secondary aspect of being part of a company earlier on, where there's less risk of it's more of a they're providing education. We're providing education to them, and they're getting their time, and all of the funds from that would go back into expanding what Illuminate.je does as a project as a whole.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Arthur. Thank you for your question. Sebastian, thank you for your time. I think your challenge is to create a digital jersey logo. And then for the next Tech Week, I suspect you'll be opening the show with that. Just a little hint. Good luck with the next stage of this process. Thank you so much, Sebastian Lawson from Illuminate.je. Right, let's move on to a project that's fascinated me merely by its name, because I want to learn more. Next up is Alien Gate by Matthew Crick. Matthew, are you there on the line? And if you are,
I'm here. Hello.
Oh, wonderful. I was going to say, and are you unmuted? I think you are unmuted. I can't see you, but I can certainly hear you. Okay. So, Matt, the plan of action, there you are, even better. 5 minutes for your pitch, and then around 3 minutes of judges' questions and comments. So, Matthew, Matt, the floor is yours.
So I'm primarily a sort of mixed media artist. I've developed this piece that's kind of morphed over time and is modular in sense of how it can be set up and how it can be used. It primarily started being inspired by stage decorations within the music scene, where I've seen this kind of technology used on a grand scale, and wanting to create something similar as well as make it interactive so that people could see this technology in action, as well as kind of have that connection with manifesting what they're seeing and the way that they're controlling it. The system itself started off life as a vector design, which I then got laser printed locally onto wood, had it backed with another piece of wood, backlit it with programmable LEDs, which are programmable in sort of sets of 3 all around the structure and within the middle triangles. It's controlled via the software solution's got a number of components within it. It's got a projection mapping solution called Resolume, which handles all the projection mapping content, as well as driving the pixel information for the LED backlighting. That's piped over ArtNet to a custom built controller, which can control things like SPI, which is the language that the LEDs use, as well as DMX channels for additional lighting if it was in some sort of club or like opera house kind of situation, if there are other components to plug into that system, all run over Ethernet, over the ArtNet protocol, which is nice because it means you can run this thing at any decent length with a piece of Cat5 cable, which is nice. It also integrates with the OSC protocol, which allows the programming changes from whatever touch device it is, whether it's an iPad or phone, or even an Xbox Kinect, if you were doing sort of person mapping onto this in some way to link movement to light. It also has the ability to be sound reactive. So you can plug in a microphone into it, or have any sort of audio stream go into it, and the backlighting of the LEDs and the projection mapping on top of the structure can all be controlled in any way the imagination can think of, really, as long as it's programmed beforehand to be able to do that. I don't know if you guys have seen the video. I can pull up a video if you haven't seen the thing I'm talking about. I've kind of added a video in the application. Yeah, let's do a screen share. So here you can see this was when it was actually a larger piece where it had the eyes at the side as well. But what you're seeing here is basically the structure itself, backlit with LEDs, projection mapped over the top with a projector. So you can see it's not only got the sort of yellows and greens with the backlighting, but then it's got all the sort of additional stuff on top of it. These days, it's kind of a little bit smaller than that. Here you can see it's just the hexagon. I kind of, like, for transportation purposes, I ended up cutting it down and making it a lot easier of a piece. Here it's fitted in with additional pieces, which are also projection mapped on the front, like all the leaf designs. So it's a very sort of modular art piece, if you like. It can kind of be built up and tailored for lots of different events or, you know, situations, whether the primary aspect is sort of people being able to play with it, or whether the primary aspect is just something for people to look at, or whether it's integrated with something like audio in order to, you know, highlight any sort of music or people speaking, or making it interactive in that kind of sense. And that's kind of it, really. Mostly an ever-evolving art piece.
Wonderful, Matt. Thank you so much. An ever-evolving art piece it is. Noel, let's start with you this time. Your questions, thoughts, comments for Matt, please.
Okay, so I'll start with some thoughts and comments. Well done. I think it's really demonstrating what we were looking for from the competition. It's definitely a design piece, and it's definitely digital. You've gone into the sort of the ins and outs of how it works, and you know, it's truly positioned itself well within the competition. So well done.
Yeah, thanks much.
I've got a couple of questions. Obviously, we've seen it in a music dance event setting. How about wider application? Have you thought about how it might, how you know, what else could you use it for? Have you thought of using it for? You know, do you think it could be used for?
Yeah, I mean, sort of mostly the other situations I've thought of is grouping it into a number of pieces, because I've got a few other projects as well that use similar technologies or just parts of it. And mostly it was kind of the idea of creating some sort of interactive art exhibition. So there'd be a number of pieces with different levels of interactivity, all revolving around sort of LED projection mapping and interactivity as the main sort of themes. In terms of commercialization, I mean, it's an art piece, right? So it's very hard to imagine, you know, how you gain revenue from such a thing. But that wasn't really my primary purpose in building it. It was more an exploration of creativity and technology.
So an idea I've been having as I've been listening to you talk is, what about stage? What about theatre and helping someone bring their theatrical show to life with?
Yeah, in terms of the technology, for sure. The piece itself, you know, I imagine is quite a self-contained thing without much additional application outside of the sort of art experience, if you like. But the technology itself, it is massive. I was heavily involved with a project down at the War Tunnels where they created a touch interactive projection mapped piece using conductive paint, and I was the main technical lead on that. So there's, you know, like you said as well, in stage design in terms of theatre, there's lots of applications that can be done with this kind of technology, whether it's you know, project, like just even not projection mapping, but just projecting onto a back wall, but maybe using some sort of movement tracker like from Microsoft in order to, you know, track the silhouettes of dancers, for example. So there's a lot of applications within the art world, especially within theatre, and even small things like, you know, like shop window displays at Christmas, or when the shop's closed and projecting into the shop. Like there's lots of applications there, I think.
I think you've just answered your commercial question there.
Yeah, true.
Okay, very quickly, adapting the technology to another format. So taking it from the dance event to the shop window. How much effort is that?
It would totally depend on the situation, right? On the scope of the project. The main box I built that drives it with the controller in for DMX and over ArtNet and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that can be applied to anything. You know, you can plug in any number of LED strips into that, as long as you've got the budget and the power and the distance, and that can be controlled in, you know, any which way an application according to whatever the situation is.
No, thank you so much. I love how easy you make it sound when about 90% of what you're saying is a foreign language to me. So I'm very, very impressed with that. Let me just bring Nicole in at this stage. Nicole, over to you, your questions and comments.
Thank you. Yeah, this is amazing. Took me back to wanting to go out again. I've seen one of these in production at Rojo's, and they're brilliant. It really kind of brings the night alive. I wish I could still go out again.
Don't we all?
But even the war tunnels, that kind of took me aback and took me by surprise, actually. I haven't been down to see it, but it's on my to-do list when my parents come over next year to go and take them. They love history. And I think from a educational point of view, I'm a kinetic learner. I do lots by touching and feeling and being able to do stuff. So I think it's phenomenal when you're able to bring history to more people that probably wouldn't have seen it or understood it before.
Yeah.
It took my breath away a little bit.
Wonderful. There we are. That feels like very positive feedback. Matt, thank you so much. That is
thank
really,
you.
really
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate your time. Good luck with all that follows in this process.
Thanks very much.
Alien Gate by Matthew Crick there, and a friendly goodbye at the end as well. Thank you, sir. Right, let's move on. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more shortlisted finalists to enjoy. Next up is Augmented Reality Jersey by Richard Urban. Richard, are you there? Can we see and hear you?
Yes, I'm here. Can you see and hear me?
I can, including a very dapper waistcoat. This is officially the first of the day, so we appreciate that addition to proceedings as well. And a brave shirt as well, may I say, sir. Right, the plan of action is 5 minutes to make your pitch, and then around 3 minutes for the judges' comments and questions. Richard, it's over to you.
Okay, very well. I will just share my screen and take you through a presentation that I have prepared. Can you see the presentation all?
We can.
Okay, superb. So this is Augmented Reality Jersey. And what is Augmented Reality Jersey? Well, it's a synthesis between the real world and the digital world. And this project will be the first of its kind in the Channel Islands. And the great thing about it is it's novel, it's interactive, and it's educational. And we just heard from Nicole there that she is a kinetic learner, and this is brilliant for kinetic learners. It will allow users to explore digital processing, geography, geology, hydrology, and even history of Jersey. So how does it do that? Well, it allows users to create a topographical model of Jersey by shaping sand. There's a sandbox and the sand inside it, and the sandbox is augmented in real time by an elevation color map and contour lines. And you can see an example on this page how it looks. When you put your hands into the sandbox, you see the image projected onto your arms, and as you move that sand backwards and forwards, it changes in real time. You can create mountains, valleys, plains, rivers, lakes. You can even make it rain. You can also create volcanoes. And this is really exciting because it allows you to completely shape the environment. And imagine in that sandbox an outline of Jersey in the middle. Well, you can create a completely new Jersey. You can look at Jersey's history, its volcanic history, because Jersey is created by volcanoes, or you can shape Jersey to be as you want it to be. It allows you to create, it allows you to interact, and it allows you to learn. So what do you need for this? Well, I've listed the equipment here. You need a computer, an operating system, some software, a camera, the projector, but also the sand and the sandbox. In terms of how this will be built, well, there's plans available online. But I thought what would be pretty cool is to adapt this to what we want and what Jersey wants. And I thought it would be really good, instead of me plugging away in my garage to build this, to recruit a team of design and technology sixth form students. And then that whole build process can be documented. And I mentioned Jersey Heritage here because I've already been in touch with Jersey Heritage, and they're really keen to document that build process. And it also creates social media opportunities as well. In terms of funding, well, look, I'm just going to fund this myself, but having talked to a few people, I think there's a strong possibility here of getting some commercial funding, but that's not guaranteed. If it doesn't come through, then I will fund myself. So where's this going to be? Well, I've already spoken to the CEO of Jersey Heritage, and he's very keen for this to be in the Jersey Museum. And he would like it to be part of the Jersey's Geopark exhibit. Jersey is going to become a UNESCO Geopark, and this fits very, very nicely into that. And what about the exhibit itself? Well, it's interactive, and I think it would be really great if it was alongside a contour map of Jersey. And then that way users can either create Jersey or recreate Jersey as it is if they want. And on that contour map, what I thought would be really cool is to have projections of the recent LiDAR data that was carried out. That's a laser scan was undertaken of Jersey. That's something that I was involved in along with the Oxford Uni professor. And I've spoken to her about this idea, and she's very keen to be involved. And she says that she can project that LiDAR data onto the contour map. So imagine you have this facility, which is on the bottom right of the screen here, where you're interacting and you're shaping the sand and you're building your rivers and your lakes and your mountains. And next to it is a wooden contour map with projections on top of the LiDAR data. And then around our video screens showing photos and film of the design and build process. That's it in a nutshell. There's much to discuss. There's many avenues here, but we're rather short on time, so I'm happy to take any questions.
Richard, thank you so much. I love the idea that we promote Jersey as a sandbox, and you are literally creating a sandbox of Jersey. It's all going full circle. I see what you're doing here. Arthur, let's bring you in for starters from the judges. Your questions and thoughts, please, for Richard.
Yeah, thanks, Gary. Thanks, Richard. Good presentation. I think a lot of details in there. It's really a fascinating place of project. And my question is around the educational piece. You've said this could be applied in various ways to teach geography, history, but this being something that has to be done during a particular on a piece of time, right? How are you thinking of applying this project as part of education? How would it work in the classroom environment, if you like?
Well, I've had a go on two sandboxes. The first was at Camborne School of Mines, University of Exeter, and the second was the Geological Survey of Canada in Vancouver in Canada. So both of those organizations use this as an educational tool. Well, people come and they visit, they interact, they get involved, and it's used as part of a suite. So it's not something that you can necessarily take to people's schools, for example, but they can come to you, and it gives a real opportunity to interact. And when you have such highly regarded organizations as the two that I've just mentioned using this, I think that's a pretty good indication. When you have world-leading university center and the national geological survey for one of the biggest mining and mineral countries in the world using this as an educational tool, I think that's a pretty good stamp of approval.
Right,
Tom. Thanks, Arthur. Tom, can I bring you in on this one at this point?
Yeah, absolutely, love to. Richard, thank you for the presentation. I can completely understand why Jersey Heritage would be interested in this as part of that exhibit. It sounds really interesting. I suppose my question is just to understand how interactive, or what's the interactivity between the hands in the box and the projections that you're seeing? Are the projections standard and then you just move the sand around to suit the projections, or is there an interactivity between what the hands are doing and then what you're seeing through the projections?
No, there's a real-time interactivity. So the projections react to the movement of your hands. So if you create a mountain, or if you create a basin by simply piling sand up or scooping sand away, the projection will reflect that. It will change the contour lines. And then if you make it rain by wiggling your fingers, the area where you've made it rain will flow down and it will come and settle in the lowest points. So it's not that you have to copy it. And so when school children come and visit this, or indeed adults come and visit this, as they move things around, it reacts to them. So you're really the role of the creator here rather than the role of the copier.
And does it have different settings for, you know, depending on the period of time, depending on the landscape? So if it was Jersey compared to some tropical island somewhere else, in terms of if you dig deep, you hit water, then you hit lava, then is it at that kind of level, or?
Yeah, that's exactly how it works. So that's the really cool thing about this. You can have Jersey looking however you want to have it looking. You can have it full of volcanoes. You can have it full of rivers and lakes. You could have a huge volcano in the middle, whatever you fancy. It allows you to do whatever you want, and it does it in real time, which is the really super cool thing.
And how does the volcano work? Just
so you can pile the sand up, and then you can have it make lava, and lava will come out. It just responds completely to your hand movements.
I think you can tell that I want to come and have a go.
Yeah, this, as I said earlier, this is something that's used in universities all around the world, and there isn't one in the Channel Islands. And I just think it would be absolutely fantastic to have it here, because not only is it educational, it's just super exciting.
Tom and Arthur, thank you for your judges' feedback. Richard, you've kind of blown my mind with the possibilities. If I could redecorate my house using this method,
yes,
it feels like it would be a lot easier and a lot
Absolutely.
cleverer, and I could change my mind every day because every lounge needs a volcano. Richard, thank you so much, and all the very best with the rest of this process. That is Richard Urban and Augmented Reality Jersey. Right, on to our next pitch. It is called Tech Tables. This is by Stuart Mosley. Stuart, are you there with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
I'm delighted to see you and hear you. Good to see
Fantastic.
you. Stuart, we've got 5 minutes or up to 5 minutes for your pitch, and then we'll have around 3 minutes or so with the judges with their thoughts, comments and feedback. So for now, Stuart, it's all yours.
Fantastic. Let's give this a go. Thanks, everybody, for shortlisting me as one of the 12. Interesting concept to produce a tech table. You say, what's a tech table? It's a piece of device made out of used furniture and used technology, used hardware. What I wanted to do for this was to inspire people to collaborate and look outside of the table, look outside of the box, and do something different with old bits of furniture and old bits of technology, old screens, old computers, and new coding such as Ubuntu software, etc. I'm going to try and share my screen with you because I've got a video presented. Can you see this, everybody?
Not so far.
Not so far. Okay. Well, that's just bear with me. Share screen. Here we go. You got that?
And now we can. Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Off we go. We've got no audio, Stuart, in case we should be hearing anything.
Okay. it's a nice funky tune playing in the background, so you're not missing much on the audio side.
That's fine. We're watching on.
Right, there we go. Okay, so there you go. There you have it. In terms of the design side of it, it's using, as I say, old technology, old furniture, marrying them together with myself and a chap called Alan. He's from Forgotten Timbers. He's a chap that's an artist, very much so, over here in Jersey. And we're going to create this table to be able to sit and interact at, and hopefully put it in the digital jersey in the next coming days.
Wonderful. Stuart, thank you so much for your presentation. This feels like an absolute marrying of old and new. Let's go to our judges. Nicole, can we start with you this time? Any thoughts, questions, comments, observations, please, for Stuart?
Yeah, this brings me back to my childhood. My grandparents used to own Anglo-Matics, which did all the computer games that go into all of the hotels and stuff.
Oh, right.
So I used to spend hours and hours on them playing old games when I was a kid and counting money that used to come out. I used to wander around with briefcases as a kid counting money that came out the machines. So it comes hits back home for that, but it's brilliant for those that probably haven't used the machines that have got a screen within the table, so won't have a clue what you're talking about.
Exactly.
When they get to see it, brilliant. But even for conferences and things like that, and when you're doing in-room meetings, everybody normally has their screens in front of them, which often will create a blocker between yourself and the person in front of you who's talking. Yes, it will be a little bit, you're looking down at the table, but it'd be really interesting that everybody can see the same thing and work on it together.
Indeed, yeah. How I actually kind of see this is that, okay, we all have tables everywhere, at home and work, in the boardroom, in the cafes, etc. Now everybody's so connected with a device in the hand, whether it be a laptop or an iPad or a screen on the wall. I kind of thought, well, let's take it one slight step further than that and embed a screen, a large sort of 60-inch TV screen connected to technology, which kind of drives that. Now, you're right, in terms of a boardroom presentation, you could actually have it directly under you there. It's a bit of a different way. I can't really see it being used in the boardroom, but it's more for people in sort of cafe environments or that sort of side of things.
Thank you. Arthur, what about you? The idea of what to me sounds like a giant iPad on legs.
It is indeed, Gary. Yeah, thanks, Stuart. That's something different, combining technology and furniture. So it's a novel idea, if you like. So my question is, I know you're just doing this as a one-off, right?
Mm-hmm.
With the aim to inspire other builders, if you like. Is this something you would consider taking forward, though?
As a business, yeah, as a business concept, you know, I've run my own business for sort of 30 years in the Channel Isles until I sold it a couple of years ago. But yeah, in terms of it, if there's a commercial market there to go and make these for people, you know, okay, we're using used technology at this moment in time and used furniture, but if somebody said, hey, let's put a big, you know, 60-inch TV screen with connected to a computer in a boardroom, yeah, we'd certainly build that and we'd make it look great for people. So yeah, there is potentially a business market for it, but you know, it's really more to sort of showcase that, you know, you can have fun, you can educate people by using old stuff that everybody's got hanging around, you know, and if we can get this to work properly with you know, sort of a splash screen with the apps, with the Pac-Man that Nicole can go and play on, and various things, and Space Invaders, yeah, that'd be quite fun and great fun to see. But yeah, from a presentation sort of side of view, you know, people could do presentations through this. So why would they do that when they've got a big screen on the wall? It's something different. You know, it may work for some people, it may not for others. But yeah, we'd take it forward to a business if there was a market for it. But this is more to showcase the great fun and just thinking outside of the box or over the table.
Wonderful. If you can embed Manic Miner, Horace Goes Skiing and Flight Simulator, I'll be a very happy man. Stuart, thank you so much, bringing back memories of my own childhood there. All the very best with the rest of the process. Stuart Mosley and Tech Tables, thanks for joining us today. Right, our next shortlisted finalist is Music Jelly by Shakris Sloan. Shakris, are you there, and have I pronounced your name correctly?
Hi, yeah, I think you have. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah. I can't see you if I'm meant to be able to see you.
Oh, there we go.
There you are. Happy days. I can see you, I can hear you. We've got 5 minutes for your presentation, and then around 3 minutes for any judges' comments or feedback. So it's all yours.
Perfect, thank you. Well, hi, I'm Shakris Sloan, and I work with Music Jelly. Music Jelly is like an audio-visual platform for combining audio-visual data and composing different sights and sounds. It's really hard to describe it, so I will share my screen. And so you won't be able to hear the sound, which is a bit sad, but the idea is that different sounds come together and you can make an infinite number of soundscapes. But the first project that we sort of embarked on was with holograms, and I'll show you. It might be a bit laggy for you as well, but if I play it, if you could let me know if that works, if you can see it all. Cool. So we invited 60 musicians in for a couple of weeks, and we made them record sort of a 4-bar track. Here you can see someone use gesture control to fling these holograms up onto the stage. Admittedly, it's a really surreal experience, because they do look so lifelike. But I say, unfortunately, you can't hear it, but you get so many different sounds, and obviously the visuals are quite striking. The other one, which I'd like to show you, is so this one's the miniature holograms. Here we go. And this is done with tablets. So there's 3 tablets. You click on the tablet and then they pop up onto a mini stage. I think this feels slightly more surreal than the life-size ones, just because, again, they look so lifelike, but they're just miniature right in front of you. And it's a really immersive experience. And again, if you guys would like the links, I could send them to you so you could actually hear all the cool songs that are made. I'll stop that. So the creative process for this is the creative process for this is we kind of all just, it's kind of like a collective. We all just like pitch ideas to it, and then we try and decide on what we think is best. So we have a projector, which is like a collage of videos, which you can use the tablets again, and you can make different sounds. We have paintings, which is touch screens, so you touch the screen and sounds and animations pop up. And that was probably personally my favorite one. Again, it's all about the immersiveness of it and the composition of everything. We have random opportunities, so we've got train carriages, which we've just kind of got them, and we're trying to make like a journey experience with digital stuff on the side of the walls. So it's all that sort of interactivity. So that's the kind of the creative process, everyone just pitching and talking. The technical challenges is syncing of the media. We used audio because the sample rate is so much higher, and people always notice if the sound is a little bit off. But we also use C++ in order to make sure the code is more optimal so we can make it more optimal. For the future, I would love to bring in installations over here. It'd be really awesome to get the holograms, to get all sorts over here, and also applying AI and VR to future stuff that we do, so that people who are possibly impaired can experience the installations. They can, and also just get that level of immersion into this world of creation and composition. But yeah, that's all. Well, I guess that's everything we do. So thank you very much.
Chris, thank you so much. I like the idea of creating a virtual band of me and flinging myself onto a stage. I'm sure no audience anywhere would ever want to watch that, but I would sit there and admire it. Let's bring in some of the judges on this one. Noel, let's begin with you this time. Noel, your thoughts on Music Jelly? Were you wobbling?
I was wobbling last night as well a little bit when I saw it at Digital Jersey. So I know you couldn't actually bring the setup over, but you did explain it to me with audio, which made it more relevant. So just to clarify, this is something you've actually built and you take to events. It's not just an idea. This is a working product, which I'm quite impressed that it's going. So. Okay, it looks like fun and it's entertaining. Have you thought of a wider application for it? Is there an educational benefit? Is there something we can kind of learn from this, or is there somewhere wider to go with it?
I think in terms of educational, I do think you just have to experience it as an entertainment type. Like it is so cool to just be able to compose music, to be able to see the things come up on stage, and that's kind of what it's all about. It's the magic of that, and being there with your friends and just creating all sorts of different sounds and images. In terms of taking it further, we have talked with multiple tech companies over the years to take it further, but it's always been about keeping Music Jelly's kind of soul a bit and just trying to let anyone experience it, really. So yeah, we haven't gone too far down that yet. No.
Have you thought about I go on my Mac, I use GarageBand, I make a music track. Can people go and use your interface and then take away their audio visual experience for posterity? Put it on social media. Is that possible?
Yeah, it is. So that we actually have an online platform which is an active development, and you can upload looped recordings of yourself, and you can on your laptop you can have a whole collage of people do that. We've actually done it with various organizations. The New York Philharmonics did that. We've worked with it's very possible. Very possible.
Great, thank you. Very interesting.
Wonderful stuff. Noel, thank you. Can I bring Tom in on this one? Tom, what did you think?
Yes, I mean, this kind of activity, that interactivity between sound and visuals is always really exciting, particularly in a world where we are all immersed in our iPhones, and to actually have something that feels more live and a little bit more enticing, I think is a really great thing for audiences. I suppose I'm just curious as to next stage, how are you going to launch this in Jersey? And do you have a sense, what would you want? I mean, what kind of setup, what kind of space, is it at a festival? How might you in an ideal world bring this to our audiences here?
I think because we have quite a lot of different mediums to experience it, like as I mentioned, the holograms, the paintings, the projectors, the online stuff, really it's just about costing it. I've spoken to the art house about their COVID commission. and just really just organizing it all. To be honest, all the equipment's there, all the technology's there. It's just about the logistics of it, really. For me, I'd like to bring over the paintings because that's, let's say, just some touch screens, and again, it's just a really cool experience. But yeah, it would just be the logistics of it. No, not much else.
I look forward to reading your submission then.
Well, hopefully this helps.
You read my mind. Tom, thank you. Chagris, thank you so much. And good luck with finding out what the judges say over the course of the next few days. Appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Wonderful stuff. We go from Music Jelly to Curiosity Cured the Cat by Lupin Vivian. Lupin, are you there?
Hi, I'm here. I'm not too familiar with.
I can hear you and I can see you, and I adore your glasses. Have I pronounced your name correctly?
Yeah.
Wonderful stuff. Well, listen, we've got 5 minutes or up to 5 minutes for you to make your pitch, and then we'll have around 3 minutes of the judges with any probing questions and wise owl observations. So, Lupin, it's over to you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name's Lupin Vivian. I'm 25 and I'm a creative human based in Guernsey. My solution and the entry to the Digital Design Challenge is called Curiosity Cured the Cat, as has been introduced here, and it hopes to contribute to solving a problem that we've all dealt with amidst the pandemic: boredom. So what exactly is Curiosity Cured the Cat? Curiosity Cured the Cat, or CCTC for short, was conceived in my mind after the lockdown lifted in Guernsey. I asked myself, how can I alleviate this antsy need to change the world in some small way? And how can I use the skills in my arsenal to improve the lives of others, even some small amount? And how can I do it from the comfort of these 4 walls I've come to know very well by now? So the bare bones of Curiosity Cured the Cat was formed. And let me tell you what that is. So Curiosity Cured the Cat is a digital quarterly magazine sent and received via email as a secured PDF attachment. In time, I hope to monetize the product and the project, making it a subscription service where £6 is paid per issue, and alternatively, the reader can pay £35 for a year's worth of content. But the body of CCTC, and what really makes it different, and I think very special, though I'm a little bit biased, is that it focuses on well-being in a really indirect way. So mental health awareness and the focus on self-care is a great thing to have emerged from the pandemic. However, everyone needs a little bit of escapism, particularly the faint-hearted. And this is using a digital platform to deliver that to people in a way that can be received during the pandemic. So why am I focusing on mental health? Why am I focusing on this particular aspect? I think it's amazing to discuss it, mental health in general and the practical ideas about self-care, but I applaud everyone who does so. But CCTC aims to lead us to question the world around us and think more about the details that happen in everyday life, kind of like an indirect mindfulness. So basically, I cover and feature art, poetry. There's a focus on creativity and personal style. On the current season and what we hope for the next, as in like the physical season, like autumn or winter. And it leads us to question the world around us and think a little bit differently about the things we've taken for granted, which I'm sure a lot of people have during the pandemic. The town church in Guernsey, for example, I took a lot of pictures which I've used for a feature, and I aimed basically to take pictures of tiny aesthetically pleasing details, which is all designed digitally on Canva and like displayed. So that's where the digital design portion comes into it. And I wanted people to think, is that really in the town church? I've never seen that before. And it's basically it's the looking and really looking at life that makes life actually worth living. It's the observational aspect. And I think sometimes it's true the digital, or it's a myth, the digital can distract us from the actual world around us. And I think CCTC aims to draw us back into the real world, out of ourselves, out of our heads, and into a healthier, more mindful way of thinking, using a digital platform. So it's almost like doing it backwards, forcing people into the real world to enjoy what's there, but through a digital, because we're all very happy looking at our phones. And I think I'm not trying to preach to the choir and talk about stereotypical mental health topics in a typical way, because I want to highlight that everyone has mental health. Everyone has a duty to look after themselves. and to cultivate our own garden, which is what Voltaire, this philosopher, said. And it's what actually sparked the idea in my head that Guernsey is my garden and I want to cultivate and make my own fun, like you would in a cabin holiday, if one holidays were actually a thing. So yeah, ultimately it's designed as a partial contributory solution to the problem of mental unrest in the pandemic, but it's also a pandemic-proof product. We will still need entertainment and escapism when the new normal is more established. And we will still be faint-hearted, I should think. There we go, thank you.
Lupin, thank you so much. Curiosity cured the cat. A project that the judges will put in the doghouse, or will it be the cat who got the cream? Let's start off with Arthur on this one. Arthur, what did you make of CCTC?
Yeah, well done, Lupin. That was amazing. We can see the passion in your project.
Thank you.
And you're also touching on a very, very important topic amongst all of us. And to see you channeling that passion into creativity, I think that's brilliant and well done. My question is on how are you going to reach out to contributors, or who is your contributor to the content that you're going to be putting together within this magazine?
So at the moment, I've been using kind of the social connections I already have. I have 2 illustrators, 2 poets, because I do a lot of performance poetry in Guernsey. So I already know quite a few poets. So for the very first issue, which will be released on the 31st of October, I've been using my friends, but they're all very talented people. Yeah. So I've been using, kind of the ties I have, but I hope to build a social media following and then grow it from there and have people enter and maybe run competitions as well myself at some point, aiming to do 6 issues a year. So it's going to have to be I'll be doing a lot of reaching out.
Okay, and if you were to win this challenge, how are you going to use that money as part of this project?
So it would basically be to put back into the project. It would be to be able to pay the contributors because for the first few years when you're growing a kind of business like this, because that's what I suppose what it is, a project business, you expect a return. So I want to be able to pay my contributors. I want to be able to give them, because a lot of artists are struggling at the moment anyway. Yeah. So I feel like it would be, because at the moment, obviously, we're not kind of gathering any money at the moment because it's more, it hasn't released the first issue yet. But yes, we've paid for my contributors software so that I'll be able to use kind of Photoshop rather than Canva, because Canva is a free service on the internet. Because myself, obviously, being a creative, I'm not very financial stuff isn't great, but yeah, so I would put it back into the project, software, contributor payments.
Okay.
Wonderful stuff, Arthur, thank you. Noel, the cat's whiskers, was it perfect? I'll stop with the cat gags now. Noel, all yours.
Right, thanks very much for your presentation. So I'd like to follow up Arthur's questions. And how far have you gone to look at the sustainability of the project? Because anything like this relies on content, and as well as the sustainability, I mean, you're talking about publishing it digitally. Can you see it going wider?
I would absolutely.
Have you got ideas for how to get it wider? Let's tell us a little bit about that, because obviously you've thought about those aspects of it. I can see you nodding, so just elaborate a little bit, because
so I didn't want to be too ambitious at first. I wanted to do it in a digital version, see how it got on, and then potentially go into print. That offers like a whole different realm of sort of things to think about. So it'd be like sustainability of paper and all that jazz, and actually making a physical copy and whether that's recyclable. That's really important to me, which is why I thought digital would be better in the kind of traditional idea of sustainability. But with content, I would eventually be looking to enlist other people to help me think of the content, because I have, I think, 3 issues worth of content planned. It's around 50 pages per issue. So they're not huge magazines, but they're not tiny either. So I've got around 3 issues planned. And then essentially, whatever ideas I have lots of creative contacts, so I can talk to them. And basically, I'm a bit of an idea mill, so I'm always having like sort of ideas coming to me. And it's trying to pin down things which are unusual in Guernsey, and perhaps I would broaden it to the whole of the Channel Islands would probably be better, actually. And then essentially have it be maybe a collaborative project in the future, maybe like a community-based kind of magazine, where it could be like lots of kind of, not just people I know, but make it more of a foundation sort of situation, where perhaps it could be like a good place for young illustrators or young designers to showcase their work, and they'd have like it would be a good way to bring people together, which we need so much in the pandemic, and to also showcase as well, while also like providing content, because obviously 6 issues a year is quite a few for however many years. I think I'm aiming at least 3 years and see how it goes. It might become really popular. I'm hoping so.
Well, thanks very much, and I can see from what you've said there, you've actually put some background thought into this. It's not just a one-off, so that's great to hear. Thank you.
Brilliant.
Noel, thank you. Lupin, thank you so much. I am going to nick the phrase idea mill. Absolutely love that. I'm going to use that shamelessly. Curiosity cured the cat by Lupin Vivian. Lupin, thank you so much, and good luck with all that follows.
Thank you very much. Have a good day. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll definitely try and have a good day. Thank you. Cheers. And we move on to the final of our shortlisted entrants, which is Mystery and Imagination by Phil Delamar. Phil, are you there? Are you off mute if you are there? If you are not there, can you be there? Mystery and Imagination. Phil, we think you are in the room somewhere. Perhaps this is part of your pitch, given its title is Mystery and Imagination, because your whereabouts is a mystery and my imagination is running riot as to where you disappeared to. But Phil, if you are there, we suspect you might be on mute. If you are on mute, take yourself off mute and please talk away so we can hear you. We've established you're on and your video is on, so you are there. This is your microphone. Yeah, we think you're definitely on mute. So if you can find the unmute button, Phil, somewhere on that screen, give that a click, and then hopefully it will all gloriously come to life.
How's that?
Ah, that has just made me smile. Phil, thank you so much. We can see and hear you. Welcome to the room. Lovely to see you and your backdrop there as well. We've got 5 minutes for your presentation. Then we'll have around 3 minutes or so of judges' comments and thoughts and questions and feedback. And Phil, it's all over to you.
Right, well, not sure how well you can actually see that backdrop. But, so what my project was to take a look at some of the user programming tool called Processing, which is a Java-based tool, and I was looking at some of the special effects that they use in the films, and some of the ones which, if we move on to this, what imagination is about. So I was looking at the special effects and seeing if I could actually make them myself, but in code. If we move on to some of my, you've got Picasso there making a light. He's just doing it with a light pen. But some of these things, these program images, originally called Slit Scan, and I've made some programs in Processing which produce these. These are special effects can be produced by cameras and by scanning with a camera. And another one which was a famous part from 2001, where Kubrick uses again slits in a circle to produce his Stargate sequence. So I carried on. That's this part of the Stargate sequence there. And I was curious about how these were produced and if I could actually do them in code using this Processing. So I've gone on, can't show you the actual code, but what I've done is I've produced these types of photographs using this processing application, different forms of it. And the first one, so what I've done with these is I've actually used the video to produce photographs digitally, so, and used code to do that. The first set I've used is a load of David Bowie videos. You can't actually see them very well, judging by that. If I click through, there's different ways I've sampled the videos, and I've produced lots of artwork from the videos by scanning them and using the different functions in the programming language. So if I come back, and I produced a whole host of these galleries of them going through all the functions. To get them. But it doesn't seem to be displaying as well as it's displaying on my computer. So I come out of the actual go into the actual images. Basically what you should be getting is that on your screen. And the other one, there's another one over there.
Oh, we're nearing the end of your 5 minutes, Phil, if you want to round up.
Right, so I look a bit better this way, I think. So this is what I've managed to create. It's a digital image. And this one has used the sampling from the movie, from the video, to create an ASCII image of characters, of samples of the video. And then these have been put into a collage to present the work that you can see there in blue. So they do eventually print out into an A3 size paper, A3 slides.
Well, Phil, if I can bring the judges in at this point, what I will say is after this presentation, we'll make sure we share all of that so the judges can see that in proper detail during the judges process. But to get some immediate feedback, perhaps Tom, if I can bring you in at this point here, we've got the idea of this, but Tom, your feedback and questions, please.
Yeah, thanks, Phil. I mean, it's really interesting. The kind of obviously this is a body of work that's developed over a long period of time, and it's really interesting using the technology to draw inspiration from other people's content and to create something new. I suppose what I was curious about is what are you wanting to do through this process? So were we to award you the money, what is the next stage for this? What are you looking to develop and create at this point?
Well, I was thinking along the lines of sort of maybe a website where people could pick a movie or pick something. They could actually pick something off YouTube and create images for themselves out of something like that. So you can pick any video you like, put it through the process, and then you'll have a series of, like a gallery of pictures come out, and then you can select what you want to make your own. So you can feed your own movie in, you could feed whatever you wanted.
And would you be able to build that website? Is that something that you're looking to do?
Yeah, that would be quite viable. You put the code behind the website and you bring it upside, or an app seeing something like Xamarin, where you've got photographs and movies you can process. You could hit a button and it would just give you the gallery back.
Tom, thank you for that. Nicole, on our final pitch, the final judges' observations and questions, it's over to you, Nicole.
Brilliant. Well, thanks, Phil, for participating, and it's brilliant to see some of the work you've been doing. It'd be great if we can get some of those images sent over to us after, so we can have a deeper look at them as well, so we can find out a bit more information and see actually what the images are that are produced. But I know lots of people look at old artwork and old videos and want to do something for the future with them. So hopefully this will be something that lots of people can use.
Wonderful stuff, Nicole. Thank you so much. And Phil, thank you very much for joining us, and good luck with the next stage of these finals.
Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you. Absolutely fascinating. Mystery and imagination. And that is it. Thank you to our judges, to Arthur and to Nicole and to Noel and to Tom, and to you for watching, but most of all to our entrants today, our shortlisted finalists, and their creativity, ingenuity, imagination, and most of all engaging with this digital design challenge process with Digital Jersey and supported by KPMG. So now it's the really hard work. I'm glad I'm not involved in this. It's down to the judges to make their difficult decisions as to who will be victorious and take away those £1,500 top prizes, those £200 highly commended prizes, and the judges' special award as well, all thanks to our sponsors, KPMG. Those winners will be announced on Friday, the 23rd of October, on the final day of Jersey Tech Week, during the launch of the Tech Awards. Always a fabulous moment. They'll be taking place that Friday between 3 and 5 in the afternoon. You can register to watch on the website, and that is digital.je/Tech Week. For now, though, from me and everybody involved in this, thank you for watching, and goodbye.